British Ambassador Richard Oppenheim and Ahmed bin Mubarak discussed latest developments in Yemen. European Union ambassadors in Aden discuss with the governor and some political factions the Yemeni crisis. Healthy deadly machine assaults not only Yemenis but the country's rich culture and heritage. Good evening and welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Roshan Fouad. Ahmed bin Mubarak discussed with the British ambassador to Yemen, Richard Oppenheim, the developments in Yemen and efforts to achieve peace. During the meeting, they reviewed the importance of solving the issue of safer oil tank, given the environmental and humanitarian danger that the tank poses to Yemen and the region as a result of Houthi militia's manipulation of this sensitive file. On his part, the British ambassador affirmed his country's support for the mission of the UN Special Envoy Hans Grunberg, stressing at the same time his country's consistent stand for the unity, security and stability of Yemen. In their present efforts to support peace in Aden, ambassadors of the European Union and the Swedish envoy to Yemen met with the governor Ahmed Lemles and various political factions. During the meeting with governor, the EU mission condemned the recent attack targeted him and the Minister of Agriculture. They expressed support to his efforts to improve basic services in the city. Earlier, EU ambassadors met also with Southern Transitional Council representatives and a delegate of Al-Hirak, in which they reassured the territorial integrity of Yemen and the need to fully implement the Riyadh Agreement. The UN Special Envoy for Yemen, Hans Grunberg, concluded his first visit to the United Arab Emirates, where he held meetings with senior Emirati officials and Yemenis from various political components in the private sector. Mr. Grunberg exchanged views with a diplomatic advisor to the UAE President Anwar Gargash, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Khalifa Shaheen, on the latest developments in Yemen and the ongoing UN efforts to resume a comprehensive and sustained political dialogue among Yemeni parties. The Swedish diplomat expressed his concern over the rapidly deteriorating situation in Yemen, including intensification of the war. He stressed that immediate progress in peace talks must be made in terms of political, economic and security priorities in the best interest of Yemenis. To the south of Ma'rib, Houthi militia has forced more than 70,000 civilians to leave their homes in Al-Juba. The Human Rights Office in Ma'rib stated that Houthi militia killed and injured some 300 civilians using missiles, artillery and drones that targeted civilian areas there. The Human Rights Office documents the displacement of more than 10,000 families, which is more than 70,000 civilians from the district. In Sana'a, a brother of Houthi militia's leader, Yahya al-Houthi, terminated more than 200 employees in the educational sector. The militia commander replaced those dismissed with the militia members and took their salaries. Rights Radar Organization for Human Rights condemned the violations against academics at Sana'a University by the Houthi militia. Rights Radar condemns the violations against professors at Sana'a University, which have mounted to storming and expulsion from their homes for political reasons, subjecting their owners to forcible expulsion despite the issuance of court rulings supporting the right to remain in those residences. Houthis, since seized power by force, have been destroying every sector in the country, and education is no exception. The following report has more on this story.
In the middle of a devastating war and a great Yemeni division, the Houthis continue to rush towards Houthanizing university curriculum and poisoning them with mistaken thoughts that were imposed on the faculties of Sana'a University and even the Faculty of Medicine. During the current university exams, activists circulated pictures of two subjects imposed by the militia on students that seem like university lessons than university curricula. They were tested by first-year medical students and printed at their expenses. Cultural courses were transferred to the university campus and installed as an academic course. Reading the content of a course on national culture will tell you that it has turned into a sectarian education that overflows with racism about the role of Yemenis in supporting the family of Houthis, and about imams and symbols of the ancient dynasty who committed slaughters to the rule of Yemenis for centuries, such as Al-Hadi, Al-Mutahhar, Al-Qasim, and others, without a word about the civilization identity of Yemen or the moderate Islamic identity of the Yemenis. The Houthi war on Yemenis were included within the academic and university curricula and glorified its fighters, eliminating Yemeni glories completely from existence, and without any mention of the September Revolution, the Republic, or the Yemeni unity. This comes in a flagrant attempt to reformulate Yemeni history with a vision that is completely different from the collective awareness and unity of the Yemenis. It's only consistent with the arrogant Imam regime against the Yemenis revolution 60 years ago, so that the Iran-backed militia revealed its true face that burned all of Yemen in revenge against the Republic and the goals of the eternal September and October revolutions.
In Sana'a, human rights sources revealed that Houthi militia had robbed 47 historic houses during the past 3 months. Abdurrahman Birman, executive director of the ACJ, said that the robbery was carried out by the Houthis Minister of Culture, Abdullah Al-Kibsi, worth mentioning Houthi militia has seized dozens of homes and properties belonging, and has also prevented the disposal of large properties under its control, despite its ownership of citizens. The rebel militia not only assaulted Yemenis but also the country's rich cultural heritage. The following report has more on this story.
Since the coup against power in September 2014, Houthis have been committing many violations in Yemen. Such violations did not just stop with taking innocent lives or destroying Yemen's infrastructure only, but also extended to destroying the culture of the Yemeni people. Recently, Houthis have encroached on ancient castles and museums, and their hands have also reached out to looting antiquities and stealing heritage. They have looted manuscripts, historical and scientific books, and rare treasures containing the history and ancient civilization of Yemen from the Zabid Library, located in the historic castle in the city of Hodeidah. About 27 museums were subjected to theft and neglect. A recent documentary report showed the number of violations committed by Houthis against the history and antiquities of Yemen, and said that there are nearly 6,000 archaeological houses built of mud bricks in Sana'a dating back to before the 11th century were completely destroyed. Surprisingly enough, Houthis assaulted the house of the Yemeni poet Abdullah al-Baraduni, an iconic literacy figure in recent times. Al-Baraduni's house, located in Tahrir neighborhood in the capital Sana'a, is not a normal house, but a literacy and cultural treasure that Yemenis pride themselves on. Antiquities are not secondary things. They occupy a great place in the formation of the identity of the citizen, introducing him to his history, civilization, ancestral values, and ways of life. This is why the Houthis are keen to deform the tolerant Yemeni identity into a conflicting one. In order to achieve this, they obliterate the material heritage and cultural property. As a result, Yemen loses its diverse heritage and identity. Eventually, despite the helpless attempts of Houthis to distort Yemen's cultural heritage, it shall remain as steady as the mountain.
To the south of Hodeidah, Houthi militia targeted citizens' farms in Al Tuhaita district with heavy mortar artillery shells. Local sources said this shelling created a state of fear and panic among farmers and disrupted their agricultural work. Still in Tuhaita, the Joint Forces thwarted Houthi militia attacks south of the city. The military media of the Joint Forces reported units of the Joint Forces that monitored Houthi militia movements in Hais, El Jabaliya, and El Faza areas in Al Tuhaita. Sources said that Joint Forces inflicted heavy losses among the rebels. To Hais, the Joint Forces thwarted Houthi attacks that targeted contact lines. Military sources said that units of the Joint Forces monitored the militia's movement, targeted and inflicted heavy losses among them. Houthi militia suffered from considerable losses in El Anin, El Dubaib fronts west of Taiz. According to field military sources, government forces launched a violent attack on Houthi militia positions and inflicted heavy losses among the rebels. In Taiz, Joint Forces air defenses shot down 2 Houthi drones in Al Barh region. Military sources said 2 planes tried to fly over military sites. They added one of the 2 planes was brought down intact, while the other was intercepted and shot down. Thabit Brothers Trade Group said that it may have moved their factories outside Yemen after being targeted repeatedly by the Houthi militia. In a press statement, the group called on all parties, organizations, and the United Nations in its mission on Hodeidah. Coming next. Severe home gas shortage in healthy controlled areas adds to people suffering.
راتب الواحد 120 ألف والكيس الدقيق ب18 ألف والكيس السكر اليوم ب20 ألف. كم يعني بيعطي هذا الراتب كامل كيس سكر وكيس دقيق؟
المواطن اليمني يعيش في أزمة إنسانية وغذائية مؤلمة من غلاء الأسعار وفحشة الأسعار وغلاء الصرف والعملة الأجنبية في البلد.
حالتي الحين حالة لما أخرج لما ندفنا شلقينا ما نقدرش ناكل الأكل داخل ما إحنا بحاجة صعبة.
Welcome back. Houthi militia kidnapped 77 people during the 3rd week of October in areas under their control. According to its security media website, the 77 people were accused of collaborating with Saudi Arabia. The war has hit hard on common people in which basics of life are not available. Gas home, which Houthis monopolized to sell in black market, has witnessed a severe shortage. This report has more details on this story.
Residents of the Yemeni capital and the rest of the areas under the Houthi militia control are suffering from a stifling crisis in domestic gas, with this substance available on the black market at very high prices. The selling price of 14-liter gas cylinder on the black market has reached 14,000 Yemeni riyals. According to local media, the Houthi militia relies for domestic gas on shipments transported by land from the safer fields in Ma'rib Governorate, while it imports gas for cars from outside Yemen. In the midst of a stifling crisis that Yemenis are experiencing in Houthi-controlled areas as a result of the scarcity of cooking gas, the militias imposed new taxes on each family under the name of supporting the fronts, as a part of a plan to sort the population to find out who supported them from the opponents, according to what residents said of the kidnapped capital, Sana'a. With the price of gas cylinders on the black market run by dealers and militia leaders rising to double the official price, neighborhood officials who were entrusted with the task of distributing cylinders that are sold at semi-official prices to all families sent empty envelopes asking to donate in favor of supporting the fronts and write the name of the donor and the amount and his phone number on the parcel and return it upon receipt of the cylinder, which is distributed once a month. According to sources, the militia's goal in this step, besides collecting money, is to collect information about every house and neighborhood. The population is under different names with the power of authority and did not exclude even the poor, who delegates go to their homes to take their roads and ask families to donate to fight under the name of sacrifice to the mujahideen. Houthi rebels keep interfering in all sectors. People just want to lead a normal life with no complications.
To Shabwa, Houthis imposed levies on merchants and trucks in Bayhan and Usaylan. According to sources, the militia stationed in Al Saadi Junction in Bayhan district and Al Hama Junction in Usaylan district forced the truck drivers to pay sums of money to support their war effort. The sources indicated that the imposed amounts amounted to more than 120,000 Yemeni riyals for each large truck and 50,000 riyals for each small truck. Rental price in Aden has crossed all limits. Amid such terrible conditions, people struggle to secure paying their rent. This report has more details on this story.
Residents of Yemen's capital Aden complains about the insanely high rental prices for houses, apartments and real estate properties. Rising in apartment and house rentals has exacerbated the suffering of Yemenis. This comes at a time where real estate witnesses a significant increase in prices, especially in foreign currencies such as US dollars and Saudi riyals. Rental prices of the average apartment in Aden varies between 200 and 350 US dollars per apartment.
Everyone knows the difficulties that Aden is going through after its liberation. There is an increase in rental prices. It's due to several reasons, including weak infrastructure that was destroyed by the war, high exchange rates, and deterioration of the local currency. For us, as a local authority, there were projects to implement housing units for youth and low-income groups, but the current political situation has hampered the implementation of them. There are great challenges. We hope that the next stage will be a solution to all the problems, including the completion of the projects.
The reason behind high rental prices is the change in exchange rates. We don't know what we should do. Owners raise rental prices and demand that the payment should be in foreign currencies. I'm a tenant and I suffer from high rent. My salary is 50,000 riyals and the landlord asks for 80,000 riyals for rent.
This is added to people's troubles who suffer from an economic crisis, represented by the national currency drop, where prices of all goods and services increased amid continued unpaid salaries. People of Aden says that this increase is due to the high rate of displaced people that flee from conflict areas to more stable areas.
The rise in rents is due to displacement of citizens from conflict areas, rise of currency, and greed of real estate and shop owners. There are people whose salaries does not exceed 60,000 riyals, and his house rental is 50,000. They should allocate private homes and housing complexes for the displaced to ease burdens on citizens.
The reason for the rise in rental prices is currency drop, greed of landlord, and lack of control to set certain rental amounts. The presence of displaced people also affects the prices of rent.
Internally displaced flee in searching for security and stability, but rental prices added to their suffering. Who protects citizens' rights? Who looks after them? Yemenis, all what they look for is a safe haven and to live in peace, but landlords seems careless and asks for more.
The National Committee Against Coronavirus announced 23 new cases of the COVID-19 in 5 governorates. Committee officials said on Twitter that 10 cases were recorded in Aden, 7 in Hadramaut, 3 in Shabwa, 2 in Al Mahra and 1 in Taz. Also 6 deaths were recorded plus 9 recovered cases. With the current updates, the total confirmed cases are 9,751, including 1,874 deaths and 6,341 cases of recovery. Here's a reminder of the main headlines. British Ambassador Richard Oppenheim and Ahmed bin Mubarak discuss latest developments in Yemen. European Union ambassadors in Aden discuss with the governor and some political factions the Yemeni crisis. Healthy Deadly Machine assaults not only Yemenis but the country's rich cultural heritage. This is the end of the news. It was Roshan Fouad. Thank you for watching.